Hey team, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing why you're probably getting ghosted in the LinkedIn DMs and what you can do about it. Because if you're someone that's obviously trying to generate leads on LinkedIn, you should be, in my opinion, be sending regular outreach to those ideal clients on LinkedIn. Now, for me, I usually like to focus on warm outreach. So, warm outreach in my case is someone that, say, has accepted a connection request that I've sent them, someone that's viewed my profile, someone that's maybe engaged with my content, or perhaps even a follower, and that is someone who in my opinion, I believe is somewhat warm, right? Sure, there are warmer leads, but I find that those are warmer because they've somewhat, say, seen my profile, they've seen what I'm doing, and so these are the people which I would usually look to reach out to. So this is what I usually look to do. So chances are, if you are getting ghosted at the moment, there's probably a few things that you're doing at the moment. So the first thing that you're probably struggling with, or perhaps that you're doing, is that you're either, well, usually what you might be doing is you might be actually selling in the conversation. Now, if you're selling in the conversation, this is a pretty obvious one because no one likes to be sold to, even if your service will benefit and you know it will benefit the other person, right? No one likes to be sold to. And so, instead, what I would look to do instead of trying to sell is try to actually identify problems first, right? Because if you can identify, say, a problem that the person has in the conversation, then that's going to make things a lot easier and will make you, or at least make it easier for you to then actually position what you're trying to sell as something that is beneficial as opposed to something that's trying to take away from the person you're chatting with. Which leads on to the second point, which is one of the problems I also see is people not actually identifying a problem and instead basically going straight to, say, proposing a call to chat more. Right now, this is the thing, right? Like I tend to have people that will DM me that will like literally I haven't even responded, and they'll immediately propose for us to hop on a chat, to hop on a call and to chat more, right? And this isn't a horrible idea. However, the thing is, it doesn't feel very personalized and relevant to me, because if I'm on the receiving end and someone's trying to say book me on a sales call, if they haven't taken the time to identify the problem I have and get me onto a call which is relevant for me and the main problem I'm facing, then that's obviously going to be a problem, right? So, for example, right, I know my ideal clients, right, they'll tend to they'll tend to suffer from many problems, right? It could be, for example, inconsistent leads, it could be like unqualified leads, and so on and so forth, right? My handwriting's still bad, right? But for example, let's say I was speaking to an ideal client. Let's say I was speaking to you, right? If I brought up, right, without even identifying your problem, let's say your problem is you're getting lots of unqualified leads. If I just pre-assumed your problem with inconsistent leads and I said, hey, something along the lines of, do you want to hop on a call and I can chat more about seeing if I can help you with your inconsistent leads, or how I can help you get more consistent leads. Sure, that might be beneficial to you, but that's not the main problem. The main problem here is the unqualified sort of leads that you're getting. And so, even if this might benefit you, it's not the main thing you're dealing with. And you'd probably feel that it's quite inauthentic for me to just go and propose that out of nowhere. Which is why it's so important that when you do send those sort of first messages, you are asking questions to identify, say, the problems that your ideal client has. So that's really the main thing, because if you can identify the problem that your ideal client has, like once they actually share that problem, it's as easy as just then proposing a call to chat more about it. That is not how you spell propose. There we are. Um, so that's really the sort of main idea with that as well. Now, I think really a lot of with sort of ghosting, partly some of it can be when you're trying to be a bit pushy, right? When you come across as a bit pushy and a bit salesy. Now, this is often when you're in the wrong mindset. When your mindset is more in the sense of how do I get this person onto a call, as opposed to do like like does this problem, or at least does this person have a problem that I can solve, right? Because there is like you can't help someone that doesn't have a problem that you can solve, right? And especially in coaching, right? If the person you're trying to work with doesn't see the problem you help them have, or at least that you help them solve, if they don't see that as a problem, they're never going to want to work with you, and they're never going to get results from that or solve that problem because they don't see it as a problem. So if you don't know they have a problem, then there's no point. Which is why if you come across as pushy, this is often because you're either like trying to take them down the sales route and you're trying to sell to them, or perhaps you just don't like understand their situation better enough. And bearing in mind, these conversations, like in the DMs on LinkedIn, they don't need to be lengthy stuff, right? I'll often book sales calls from a couple back and forth like messages, potentially even 4, 5, or 6 messages. But honestly speaking, it shouldn't be much longer than that, right? If you're having back and forth conversations that are 10 plus messages like each, then you're either not doing it right or you're not proposing a call at the right time. Now, when is the right time to propose a call? Well, like I sort of said just previously, really the moment they open up about a problem is ideally when you want to propose a call. Now, there's not really a right time to do it, but really the moment they've if they've like at the very least opened up to you about a small problem or a big problem, whatever it might be that they have, no matter like if it's just like something that they've just mentioned, for me, I find it's much better to say, hey, I'll usually say something along the lines of, "Hey, if it like makes sense to you, I'd love to, or I'm more than happy to hop on a call with you to better understand the situation, to share a few things that might be able to help you with, and then whatever they've shared. So maybe if they've talked about unqualified leads, I might say something along the lines of, "Hey, I'd be more than happy to hop on a call to better understand your situation and share maybe a few things that might be able to help you with your unqualified leads you're getting at the moment. And then maybe at the end, I can chat, or at least, we can chat a bit more about if or how I could help you with this, right? And the way I'm positioning it there is very relevant to the problem that they face, right? It's very relevant to the problem that they face. And I'm also sharing, hey, I'm not just going to go on that call to sell you, even on the problem. I want to come on this call. I want to listen to you, right? I want to listen to the problem that you have. And I want to maybe share a few things, actionable things that might be able to help. So they also feel like they're going to get something from the call. I'm not just there just to sell. And then if it makes sense to them and also to me, right, because I don't know that I can help this person yet, then obviously that's when we could also talk a bit more about, if or how I could help them. So you can see that at least with the way I phrased it, it's a lot more beneficial, right? And so this is why I feel like when you're coming into the conversation, obviously, first things first is that you want to follow warm outreach, right? And with warm outreach process, to like I do have videos on this to go in more depth, but to simplify it for you, here's what I focus on. So the first things first is being able to ideally connect with them, right? You want to be able to connect with them. If they're a profile viewer, or perhaps if they've engaged with you, you do want to reach out to them, but thoroughly connect with them beforehand. Then once you've connected with them, you want to then send them that first DM. Now, the first DM doesn't have to be overcomplicated. What I focus on is pretty much two main things. I focus on personalizing the message, aka giving them a genuine compliment they'd actually like to hear, right? Don't just say, hey, nice posts or, nice banner or whatever. Try and get specific and relevant to what they're doing, right? So, for example, if someone has, or say the prospect you're reaching out to, perhaps, I don't know, it's just been their birthday, perhaps they've just won this award, they've just achieved this outcome, they've done this or that. Like, congratulate them on it, or, just appreciate them for it or compliment them on it, but give them something that's genuine to them, because you know just giving any sort of compliment that can be said to anyone isn't going to feel relevant to them. So that's the first thing, right? You want to firstly be able to personalize the message. The second thing you want to be able to do is then ask a question. Right now, this question wants to ideally be more specific to trying to identify a problem. Right. So, for example, a question I might usually ask is something along the lines of, how's your LinkedIn lead gen going? Is it going well? Right. Now, yes, this is a very specific question, and this will also, probably have people that will still ghost me, right? Because the purpose of this video isn't to remove ghosting, right? People are always going to ghost you no matter how good you are at it. What I'm really trying to focus on is being able to reduce that and also reduce the ghosting you get mid conversation, right? Because when you do get people that actually share a bit more about their problem or are more receptive to you, you want to make sure that you can get them through to the very end, whether that be you book them on a call or whether you find actually, you know what, we're not a good fit, and that's that. So first we personalize it, then we ask specific question. Now really you want that question to be specific to your niche. So for me, obviously mine's around LinkedIn. So, I'll ask how their LinkedIn lead gen's going, right? Now, bearing in mind, people aren't stupid. They will know, based on, like your profile and such, they will have an idea of, who you help, what you do, and how you do it, assuming you've optimized your profile well. So when they see that you're messaging them, they'll have an idea that that your goal is probably to get them on a call. Really, it's then down to them to actually figure out, okay, well, first of all, you know, like, do they have or at least, can they help me with my with my problem? And if that is the case, and if they sort of know, like, and trust you and such, then they're going to be more open to actually responding to that, right? Now, sometimes in my case, I'll have a few things, right? One of the times, like from this, they'll pretty much say, "Yeah, I do have a problem," or they'll mention something about maybe inconsistent leads, or so on and so forth, or just something around maybe their lead generation not being that good. The moment they mention that problem, which I'm going to scroll down here, the moment they mention that problem, I'm proposing a call immediately. Right, I'm pretty much going to use the thing I shared before. I'm going to propose a call immediately. Now, if they don't open up, maybe from that first one, or perhaps they say, what they're doing is good, I might look to ask a few questions to try and dig a bit deeper. Now, what you want to keep in mind is that a lot of the questions you might ask here are also going to be questions that you would ask on a sales call, which is why I like to propose a call quickly, because there's no point me asking like 10 questions in the DMs only for me to ask those similar questions on the sales call. Which is why if they're, like if they're in a position where they're open enough to sharing their problem with me in the DMs, chances are they're going to be a lot more open to sharing it on a call. And plus, it's a lot easier on a call. So that's why I then suggest, obviously, to propose a call. And that's pretty much the process, right? Obviously, if you actually say, do this first message and they don't say give you a problem or something specific, ask further. And obviously, it's up to you in terms of how comfortable you are to pursue further, right? I've had people that have shared that, hey, they're like their lead gen's good, it's okay. And you can either leave it there or you can pry a bit further and you can ask, oh, okay, well, does that mean you are getting, so for example, for me, I could say, oh, okay, like that's great. Does that mean you're booking 5 sales calls a week, right? For example. And if they say, oh, well, not that much, then that's when I could then say, oh, well, actually, if you find it useful, we can hop on a call. I can share a few more things, yada, yada, right? So that can also be something that you do. That said, obviously, if you pry a bit further, that's obviously depending on how comfortable you are. For me, I'm not comfortable to get swear. Well, I'm pretty comfortable to just pry a bit further, and if people swear at me or get annoyed at me, that's just that. That's just business. So that's that. So overall, this is pretty much the process that I will use, at least to prevent or at least reduce getting ghosted. More specifically, during conversation, right? I'm going to be honest. People still ghost, right? People are going to ghost you no matter how good you are at this, and that's just a part of the thing, right? A lot of it comes down to the people you talk to. And obviously, in this case, it'll really come down to, first of all, your profile, make sure that's properly optimized, but also, how well you personalize your messages and the questions you ask. Because really, from there, you shouldn't be getting ghosted, or at least getting ghosted mid conversation should be like pretty small. Now, yes, people are busy, so you do want to make sure you follow up people as well. Now, I might make another video on following up as well, but as of right now, as long as you're focusing on personalizing the messages, asking relevant questions, and then proposing a call the moment they actually open up about a problem, you're going to find it's a lot easier to book more sales calls. But hopefully, you found this useful, and I'll chat soon.